Live, just start.
Hello all, and welcome to our second/third episode of season 2 of TechRise. For those of you new to TechRise, I am Desiree Vargas Wrigley. I am the Chief Innovation Officer of P33 and Executive Director of TechRise. TechRise is a multi-stakeholder initiative started in partnership with Verizon to help bring access to capital, networks, and knowledge to Black and Latinx founders across the greater Chicagoland. And this year we've expanded, so now we include all BIPOC founders and all women identifying founders, including trans and non-binary. So if you know any great founders out there with ideas, and we broadly define Chicago as pretty much anyone that likes to come to Chicago to do business. So please come to techrise.co/apply and join us here on stage for your chance to win somewhere between $25,000 and $50,000 to build your dream. So as you may remember, each week we have 3 to 5 founders take the stage. They have 4 minutes to pitch their vision to a panel of judges who then ask them a few questions about their business. And then the judges go and deliberate real time and choose a winner. And today's competition is focused on FinTech and generously sponsored by our friends over at PNC. So you'll see a wonderful theme here and some great representation of Chicago's FinTech ecosystem. And hopefully you also saw in the opening sequence just how much progress we've made as a city in the last year, but especially here on TechRise. So last year we had almost 120 founders take the stage. We deployed about $1 million to those founders, and they went on to raise an additional $10.6 million in just 7.5 months. And those founders together had only raised about $8 million in the collective 3 years that most of them had been in business before. So we're seeing some strong momentum here, and we can't wait to help the founders continue to raise. The goal is to get them to a $50 million mark in follow-on funding, but we expect them to do actually much, much more. And I do want to remind you that you can always help support this fund by going to techrise.co/donate or joining us as one of our sponsor partners here. And with that, I'm excited to start inviting our judges onto the stage. So first we have Jenny Fielding, general partner at The Fund. The Fund is a first check venture fund in a community by founders for founders. Jenny, it's great to see you again. They've invested in pre-seed rounds of 170 companies in 4 years. She's also a 2-time entrepreneur herself and the former managing director of Techstars New York and former head of digital ventures at the BBC. Great to have you, Jenny. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. So fun.
Next, we have Tarun Gupta, Vice President at Jump Capital. Tarun joined Jump in 2020 and supports the team on all venture capital investment opportunities. Prior to Jump, Tarun was on the corporate development team at Scientific Games, where he helped the company complete 8 acquisitions in the casino, gaming, lottery, and sports betting space. And he began his career as an investment banking analyst at Livingstone Partners. So thanks so much for being here. Excited to have a FinTech-focused fund on the stage, and actually one of our biggest funds here in Chicago, I believe. Then our final judge is Jonathan Ellis, founder and managing director of Sandalphon Capital, a VC fund focused on pre-seed and seed stage investing in the Midwest. And he's also host of Midwest Tech Connect, which is a virtual conference connecting early stage startups and investors. He previously spent 10 years in finance at Macquarie. Am I saying that right? I don't know.
Yep.
Okay, great. And has invested in FinTech as an angel and as a VC in companies such as AutoFi, Kin, and Supernova. So Jonathan, thanks for being here. And so excited to have all of you guys here. So we love being on time, and we are on time. So I'm going to get started, and we're going to go right into our first competitor, Parfait Nayigihugu. I think I said it better that time. Sorry if I messed it up. And he is presenting Einstein. Well, you can go camera on whenever you're ready.
Oh, yes.
All right, we're ready when you are.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, TechRise and Desiree, for that warm welcome. Retirement. To some, that word evokes a sense of freedom, thoughts about fishing, spending time with grandkids, and even traveling the world with loved ones. For others, it evokes despair, anxiety, and uncertainty. In a recent survey, 6 in 10 respondents plan to work during retirement, with 80% citing inadequate retirement savings as being the primary reason for doing so. Chances are, if you're like most people, your retirement outlook is far from optimistic, and for good reason. According to the Federal Reserve, the median retirement saving across 9 retirees was only $65,000, and roughly 1/4 have no savings at all. The not-so-secret reality in this country is there's a retirement gap that's only getting worse. When broken down by income level, gender, and race, that number gets even more dire. Einstein was born out of this problem, to reduce the retirement gap and improve retirement confidence amongst people of color and non-traditional workers. We see the major retirement challenges for these users being access to retirement options, low participation rates, and the lack of understanding about retirement, how to prepare for it, and what tools are available to get people there. Einstein's mobile-first app provides users with low-touch and low-cost retirement products in the form of ETFs, a financial plan based on actionable milestones, and personalized bite-sized content to help users feel more comfortable they're doing what they can to retire with confidence. So how does Einstein work? Let's connect with Sam, a self-employed photographer who currently has no access to retirement options. She goes through onboarding where we capture details about her employment status, income, and other data points that will help us identify her specific needs. In less than 4 minutes, she reaches the dashboard, which houses a bird's eye view of her current savings, as well as her projected retirement balance. From the dashboard, Sam accesses her digital financial plan, which houses her action items and milestones. She has a fully funded emergency fund, but we know from her onboarding that she has 2 children, but doesn't have life insurance. Einstein suggests reputable and high-quality life insurers Sam can choose from. Because we know that she puts everything she saves in a savings account, one of her action items will be to open an IRA. Based on her retirement goals, time horizon, and risk tolerance, she's directed to a retirement portfolio that's personalized specifically for her. In addition to these tools, Sam has access to curated blogs, podcasts, and other tools and resources to help support her learning. Einstein provides many of the features that are important to the modern user, like no minimum initial deposits or contributions. Where we set ourselves apart is our holistic approach to retirement. We're able to deliver insights and product recommendations that are not only timely to the user's current financial behavior, but also relevant to the user's retirement profile. Of the estimated 152 million private sector employees, only half have access to employer-based retirement options. And within this number includes approximately 15 million non-traditional workers and 45 million employees of color who will be Einstein's target user base. We want to limit as many barriers to user participation as possible, so there will be no upfront cost to joining Einstein. And in the short run, the revenue will be primarily driven by the referral program, which will be based on the financial products that we recommend. As users grow and as assets under management accumulate, we anticipate management fees will become a substantial piece of the overall revenue. At just 2% of our target users, we anticipate a little over 100 million in ARR. We recognize our target user requires our initial go-to-market approach to be more hands-on, which in the short term will be heavily driven by word of mouth, partnerships, and content creation. Our MVP is about 90% complete, and we'll be launching with our first beta group June 1st. We're looking to raise a pre-seed round of $850,000 with the target of getting to 50,000 users in the next 12 to 18 months. The $25,000 will go towards continuing to develop the app, as well as fees related to the SEC registration. A little about me, I have over a decade of insurance and financial services expertise at a Fortune 50 company, as well as several years as a management consultant. I left consulting a little over 3 months ago to start building Einstein full-time. You probably noticed me saying we a lot today, but currently we is just me. I am actively looking for a technical co-founder, so if you're passionate about this space and the problem that we're going to solve, please reach out. Thank you for your time, and I'm ready for your questions.
Great, we'll bring the judges back on. Jenny, can you kick us off?
Yeah, happy to. Great presentation. Thank you so much. On your competitive landscape slide, there were a lot of players. And so I'm curious, what's your customer acquisition strategy? How are you going to go head to head with those guys from a cost of buying customers?
Yeah, so we want to be very intentional about our strategy of how we approach this user base, specifically because of the market that we're going after. And so after we launch, we're going to stay hyper-focused in 3 markets. Chicago for obvious reasons because we're here, but also Atlanta and Washington, D.C. Within the first 12 to 18 months. And so those 2 markets have seen a consistent increase in the level of income amongst communities and people of color. And they also boast a pretty healthy number of non-traditional workers. And so Atlanta, for example, grew 15% just in the Black population alone, and 20% of those workers were self-employed. And so that's certainly a market that we want to tackle. How we'll get there is partnering with the organizations such as the Chicago Urban League and the Chicago Gig Alliance to build that credibility, and then leverage social media to attract both the users with our content, as well as collaborating with personal finance personalities that have become incredibly popular on the platform.
Great, thanks so much.
Jonathan, you want to go next?
Sure, thanks. Yeah, great presentation. What have you done in the way of customer discovery or sort of user testing so far? I know you're sort of pre-MVP, but just curious, if you've got mock-ups in front of people and any key learnings you've had so far. Yeah,
so working MVP, right? And so we have, so at the very onset, we spent quite a bit of time just doing some user interviews, talking with organizations that are similar in nature with supporting the communities of color that we want to go after, and asking just individuals what is lacking with the current tools and apps that are out there right now. And we got some really, really good insights, and that informed how we built the initial MVP. We try to understand the customer pain points as much as possible, just so we can, put forth in front of the user something that would be valuable and useful for them.
Awesome, thanks.
Great, Tarun, you want to go?
Yep, great presentation. Thanks, Parfait. Maybe just a little bit on the team. How are you thinking about the core skill set of the CTO you're trying to bring on, and the other people that are sort of top priority for you to bring on in the near term?
Right, yeah. So my short-term focus is going to be a tech co-founder. I've built the tech stack myself, but I'm reaching my capacity in terms of skill set. And so bringing on a tech co-founder is going to be really helpful. Another key hire that we want to make is a compliance officer. So once we are SEC and FINRA registered, which we are finalizing that right now, a chief compliance officer is going to be something that we're going to definitely need once we start putting securities and marketing those securities in front of people. And then just hiring a good team of engineers. Our tech is going to be, we want to build out the infrastructure to that retirement feature and start bolstering that retirement methodology. And we understand that it's going to be important that the cadence of the insights and recommendation engine that we're building are incredibly on point, and we understand the triggers for the content that we present to users. And so the engineering team is going to be incredibly important.
All right, time for me to cut us off. Great job, Parfait. Thank you so much. And next we're going to welcome Olga Camargo with SHENIX. Olga, we're ready when you are, if you want to share your screen.
We're about to do this now. And all right, you guys can see it?
We can.
Okay, wonderful. Do you know who the future of the US economy belongs to? 30 million Latinas hold the key to fueling the US economy, but they are being held back because they don't have a financial app to help them with retirement, investment portfolios, and salary negotiation. Latinas have no financial background, but they are expected to make all the financial decisions for their household, businesses, and communities. The financial industry keeps creating apps, but they keep ignoring Latinas' needs, leaving them behind. Because the industry is primarily dominated by white men that don't understand the Latina mindset. But that changes today. Introducing the SHENIX app. SHENIX makes wealth creation possible and helps close money gaps for Latinas so they can accelerate their economic and social transformation. We're kind of like the Elvis for Latinas. This is perfect timing for SHENIX because consumer-facing wealth apps are on the rise, but none of them are culturally compatible with the Latina mindset. Each Latina will now be able to make decisions with confidence for themselves, their familia, and their community. The SHENIX app is designed to help Latinas easily invest to make their goals, such as opening a business, buying a home, and retirement. And here's how it works. First, users can quickly set up their profile. Second, users can select the investment services they need and answer a short survey that tells us more about their financial and career goals. Then SHENIX takes care of the rest. We use the survey information to match up Latinas to research-based portfolios that help them achieve their life goal. Access to English and Spanish speaking advisors is also available to help with savings calculations or questions. We leverage our existing relationships with financial vendors to serve our Latina community. We share Latinas' career goals with the experts at the Hispanic Alliance for Career Enhancement to help them with salary negotiation. Latinas control 75% of the $1.9 trillion of US Hispanic spend. SHENIX is determined to capture this market by focusing first on 12 million Latinas ages 25 to 54 who are actively making financial decisions. And we can tap into 240,000 of these Latinas who are part of our go-to market within 18 months through our partnerships. We've already talked to the Hispanic Alliance for Career Enhancement, Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Negocios Now, and Latina Style Magazine, and many more, whose combined reach is over 1 million Latinas. Our partners will provide educational content and will also distribute SHENIX to their networks. Our marketing strategy will consist of earned media, continuous outreach through our partners, reaching Latinas via social media, and enlisting social media influencers. We have already made some initial traction with the soft launch of the SHENIX app waitlist. Over 100 Latinas signed up in less than 2 weeks. We will monetize this opportunity through subscriptions, corporate and affiliate partnerships, and asset management fees. We expect revenue to be at 5 million and profitable in year 3. Our next milestones include UX design, UI design, proof of concept, and development, and we are ready to execute as soon as we receive funding. My name is Olga Camargo. Together with Juan Carlos Avila and Patricia Mota, we are the best team to launch SHENIX because we represent our community, have a combined 80 years of experience providing investment advisory services, culturally relevant financial education, and leadership development to the Latinx community across the country. SHENIX will not only accelerate Latinos' economic and social transformation, but will make the world a better place for all of us. Gracias.
All right, thanks. We'll bring the judges on. And you can stop sharing your screen and make it a little bit bigger faces up here. Jonathan, you want to kick us off?
Sure. Thanks, Olga. Good job. I guess, what big assumptions do you feel like you've proven out already, and what do you think you still need to prove out, given your sort of near-term milestones?
Absolutely. I think that one of the biggest things that we have proven is the need for this app. And that really came through a couple of interviews that we did on a national basis with Latinas through like approximately 6 major cities. And that was one thing that was the services that we're offering are confirmed that that's what they need. The other thing that we also found out was through the soft launch of the wait list that we have people that we can go to right now and start offering the app, and they would start paying, right? I think also the other thing that we have also proven in the past through previous related work in other within the financial industry is our experience just dealing with the Latino community and specifically with Latinas on how much culturally relevant financial education is needed, and also with removing that language barrier.
And I've been leading a Latina leadership program, Mujeres de ASE, for over a decade. And one of the components in this program that has reached nearly 3,000 women across the country has been the personal finance component. And so we've got a lot of feedback and information from that group too.
Great, thank you.
Tarun, you want to go next?
Yeah, Olga, thank you so much for the presentation. Maybe help me understand like the content partnerships a little bit more, the extent of how deeply integrated you are with them and how you envision them pushing the actual product.
Absolutely. So the partnerships basically include the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Latinas basically are the ones that are leading the fastest growth with new businesses here in the U.S. So they will need that additional content. Some of it, obviously, with respect to the financial side of things, it'll be myself and my co-founder, Juan Carlos Avila, that will be leading on that side, the financial aspect of it. But when I'm talking about the partnerships, it's really supplemental information that people really need to have in front of them through this app. So it's not just about you coming in and opening up an account and then forgetting about the app because you already set it up. We want content that is being pushed through these partnerships that make sense for them to, let me see what's going on. We had the PPP loans last year for a lot of the businesses across the nation. It would be those partnerships that would be giving Latinas more information on what else is available out there resource-wise, access to capital as well. And also understanding, like through the Hispanic Alliance for Career Enhancement, negotiation tips to get a fair salary.
And Jenny.
Thanks for the presentation. I actually love this space. I've invested in both Summa and Jefe. And so could you, and I don't think it's winner takes all, I think this is, a great initiative. So could you just tell us like a little bit of your differentiation of some of the other folks that are at least seemingly going after the Latino community?
Sure, absolutely, Jenny. So the big focus here is Latinas. Summa goes after a more general Latinx community. This is specifically Latina focused, like Elvis is specifically focused to women.
Okay, maybe go in a little bit more if you can of like why that differentiation in terms of your customer acquisition, or why wouldn't they also be satisfied, I guess, with some of these other ones.
Jenny, great question. I think that the best thing that I can tell you is that when I look at really helping unleash the economic and social transformation for Latinas, you can't just be talking about financial products. You must also address that 800 gorilla in the room, which is how do we get social, that pay equity, right? And that is—
I have to cut us off. I'm sorry. Maybe you guys can do it in the chat, but thank you so much, Olga. Great job, and great job, SHENIX team. And next we have Yuzu, and we have Abigail Beasley joining us.
All right. Great. Thank you all for your time this afternoon. I'm Abigail, a higher education professional and co-founder of Yuzu, a data management platform for grant recipients to track the impact of their organizations and for grant providers to track the impact of their funds. My co-founder was awarded by the Illinois Secretary of State for his work streamlining and digitizing Literacy Chicago's administrative processes centered around the grants they receive. This experience planted the understanding of unaddressed data needs for both grant recipients and grant providers. With no precise market leader, we are seizing the opportunity to help organizations spend less time on their data and more time on our communities. Grants require proper management, much of which is through compliance reporting. That reporting today is still very much pen to paper, which precludes both recipients and providers from managing, analyzing, and leveraging their data. Yuzu solutions this, allowing grant recipients to more efficiently collect and track grant compliance data. Yuzu centralizes the data to allow grant providers to measure the overall impact of their grants. And Yuzu leverages this data, providing actionable analytics and insights, delivering efficiency to the grants ecosystem. Above all, Yuzu supports organizations so they have more time on their missions. It's a simple solution for users on both ends. For grant recipient organizations, Yuzu is a data management tool for the data input required for the grants they receive. And for grant providers with a fundamental responsibility for tracking their dollars, Yuzu is a reporting tool through which grant metrics are centralized and readily accessible. Our market is exciting. Literacy Chicago, the organization through which my co-founder volunteers, is just one of about 100 recipients of a grant totaling $5.7 million. In the state of Illinois alone, public grants going to nonprofits represent a figure of $1.7 billion annually. And again, just in the state of Illinois, that number in private funds is $5.1 billion. Yuzu will charge 1% of the grant to the providers who currently maintain grant operating and administrative budgets. Our go-to-market has been motivated by our discovery to date with Literacy Chicago and other recipients of that same grant. These are the figures representing Yuzu's potential revenue, and these figures consistently increase year over year as grant budgets increase year over year. Yuzu has a distinct advantage fulfilling ubiquitous and technologically unaddressed compliance needs, delivering required and custom metrics. CRMs and ERPs in the market focus primarily on grant financials and are not a best fit for resource lean organizations. Yuzu tailors our services to the nuances of mission-driven organizations, and we are ultimately focused on impact by maximizing nonprofit organizations' resources. Our progress to date has been supported by customer discovery, which has provided fast feedback and will serve us in iterating on functionality and development of our MVP, which will carry us through our pilot program this spring, promoting a more efficient feedback cycle as we develop our MMP. Our next inflection point is securing TechRise's support for distinct needs, including brand consulting, server and domain expenses, customer acquisition costs, and the like. We are a passionate and adaptable team of 5. Our experiences span consulting, finance, software engineering, and community organizing. Yuzu has really become our collective driver. We are so excited for the future of Yuzu, for the ecosystem that will come out of data analytics, data maximization, and ultimately data standardization. Above all, I want to highlight that we're most excited for the opportunity to serve organizations, spend less time on data and more time on our communities. Thank you for your time. I welcome any questions with which I have left you.
All right, let's get the judges back on. You can stop sharing screen. Tarun, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, Abigail, thank you for that. Maybe it'd just be helpful for me to understand, like, these organizations, what tools are they using today? And to the extent that you've had conversations with them, what's their receptiveness to using a more sophisticated software tool?
Yeah, I'm really excited to be able to answer that. We've had such positive reception to this because the tools people are using are spreadsheets and pen to paper. I really am not hyperbolizing when I say how antiquated the system is. So, imagine a really lean shop, a nonprofit organization of 2 to 3 full-time administrators. And based on the conversations that we've had with the recipients of Literacy Chicago, individuals are spending up to an entire day of their week consistently throughout the year. And then around reporting cycles, imagine quarterly, mid-year, it may be a whole week or a full-time administrator spending their time dedicated to managing this data.
Jenny, you want to go next?
Yeah, just kind of building on that. How did you get to the business model of taking 1% of the total grant? Because that seems like a lot. And so I'm just wondering the response and how you got to that number.
Yeah, so because this number is not something we anticipate charging to the grant recipients, again, these are already institutions, organizations that are needing support, additional funds. So this number seemed to make sense to us just because it was so clean to charge this to public institutions, private organizations that are providing grants, because as we've seen in the public space where we have so much access to the data, the state, for example, has such a robust budget in place for the administration of these grants. So 1% felt really clean, but we are certainly excited to iterate on that.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Sure. Hey, so nonprofits and funders have been wrestling with impact metric tracking and standardization for years. So how do you make it easy for them to figure out what matters, easy to measure, and standardized and scalable?
Yeah, so I, at this point, really trust the institutions to prioritize their missions, and what that looks like right this moment. I don't feel like I can put in a single statement, but the existing reports required of institutions. So Literacy Chicago, for example, receives this adult literacy grant from the state, and they are required to report on test metrics, the hours that volunteers commit, et cetera. So getting those metrics in a place that are actionable and year over year is a start, and we're certainly excited to be able to start leveraging that data. And when I say leverage that data in the long run, we're really excited. We envision this ecosystem in which Best Fit Analytics are supporting both recipients and providers find that best fit, organizations that are really going to be able to use the money to the best of its extent.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have time for maybe a quick question if anyone has one more. But if not, I'm going to say thank you, Abigail, and great job. And next we're going to, oh, you do? Sorry, go ahead, Jenny. Sorry. Did you? No, sorry, I just was looking down at my paper. Sorry about that. Okay, next we're going to invite Omar Hernandez with ONEBIT onto the stage. All right.
Did you know that over 82% of small businesses fail because of poor financial management? Hi, everyone. My name is Omar Hernandez. I'm a former business owner myself, and I'm the CEO and founder of ONEBIT. We help independent businesses make smarter financial decisions. Do you happen to know a small business owner? If you do, you've probably heard them say how challenging it is managing inventory, staffing, payroll, deliveries. No matter what type of business, whether it's a restaurant, a retail store, or even your local coffee shop, it can be a struggle to maintain a profitable business. You see businesses today have more options when it comes to selling, both in-store and online. Tracking all of this information accurately along with the business costs can be a challenge for many small independent business owners, let alone trying to make a good decision based on the data. What if there was a simple way that we could help independent business owners make better financial decisions by using the data they already have? At ONEBIT, we believe that knowledge is power. We help independent business owners by providing them with a real-time financial tracker. Now business owners can see where all their sales are coming from and where their costs are going in one place. Most importantly, ONEBIT is able to analyze all this financial data using a machine learning algorithm to generate unique insights and recommendations. For example, imagine you're a business owner and you get a notification on your phone alerting you that you're overspending on inventory and it can hurt your business profitability. Well, ONEBIT ONEBIT can even send you a recommended action to help you make a better informed decision. ONEBIT can also track vendor costs over time and automatically alert you if your cost increases. ONEBIT then immediately recommends price adjustments to make sure your business remains profitable. ONEBIT works by simply allowing the business owner to connect their point of sale systems with their existing accounting software. Our own proprietary machine learning algorithm aggregates all the financial data, runs the financial calculations, and provides insights. Think of ONEBIT like an automated CFO for your business. This is a massive market opportunity. In the US alone, there are over 5 million independent businesses with over 270 brick and mortar restaurants and 330 independent retailers. Many of these businesses are family, minority, and women owned. These are the people that we're gonna help. Over the past year, we've beta tested our application on 10 local restaurant, retail, and e-commerce businesses. Everyone we've spoken to is excited about the application. We plan to acquire new customers through cold calling, email, and online marketing campaigns. Lastly, we'll leverage partnerships with POS system providers and trade groups like the local Chamber of Commerce and Illinois Restaurant Association. Looking at the competition, ONEBIT is the only BI tool that offers automated financial tracking and analytics. ONEBIT also doesn't require any specialized skills to use the application. Our 6-month milestones include launching our web app to the general public, solidifying our partnerships with both Square and Shopify, and developing additional POS system integrations. With the funding from this competition, we will use the award money to build out the additional POS system integrations. Meet the ONEBIT team, which includes myself, Omar, a former business owner with a background in data science and analytics. My co-founder, Sean Lee, who brings a strong local business network, and our CTO, Ron Duran, with over 15 years of experience in product management. Ron himself has personally built similar products in the past. And our team of advisors, which includes Matt Doubleday, former CMO of Wintrust Financial, Angel Mendez, executive chairman at Levadata, and Mike Koffes, Southeast lead at Google Waze. ONEBIT helps independent business owners make smarter financial decisions so their businesses can thrive and succeed. Choose ONEBIT today and help us empower and save small businesses tomorrow. Thank you.
All right, the judges can come back on. Jenny, you mind kicking us off?
Sure, thank you. That was a great presentation. Love the mission. Can you talk a little bit about the kind of education that you need to do with these small businesses? Because I imagine they're not like super tech savvy, and kind of the onboarding process that goes with that.
Sure. Thank you, Jenny. So in terms of the education, what we've been doing over the past year is providing free online webinars for small businesses in partnership with the local Chamber of Commerce. So I've been teaching them like data 101 and like the value of data and why data is important for their businesses. And then in terms of our onboarding process, we made it super simple where the business owner simply logs into their account and our application does all of the calculations and everything like the charting and dashboarding. So it's really simple to use. So we eliminated those barriers to entry.
Great, thanks so much.
Jonathan?
Yeah, hey Omar. Could you maybe give some more examples of like the sort of insights you're surfacing? 'Cause I feel like point of sales these days, Toast and others, trying to make it, they have their own ecosystem and tools, and then obviously QuickBooks is getting more and more sophisticated as well. So where do you fit in within all of that?
That's a good question. So QuickBooks is a great accounting tool, but it offers very static reporting. It still requires someone that knows finance and accounting to go in there and be able to interpret the data, whereas our application actually does all of the analysis for the business owner to be able to make the right decisions for their business. So that's where we're different, where we focus on the insights and the analytics as opposed to focusing more on the financial tracking. And then in turn, what was your second question?
I think just trying to understand where you fit in on that spectrum of what the point of sales are reporting and the accounting software. So I think you're answering it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, cool, thank you.
Tarun.
Hey, Omar, thanks for walking us through that. Within like small businesses, how do you think about the ideal customer? Like, is there a particular industry of small business that your solution works better for, typical size of company? Anything around that would be helpful.
Yeah, so actually like our application is super scalable. Like we've been able to work with businesses that are like sole proprietors with one shop to businesses that are multi-location. So for example, one of the businesses that we worked with over the past year, they own 4 restaurant locations in the city. And not only were we able to determine like which ones were the better like performing locations and like what items were actually selling well at each location, but we were able to help them cut back on their inventory because like the items that weren't selling well, we could recommend that they cut back on holding that excess inventory cost. So we were actually able to save them a tremendous amount of money.
Great. Any last questions? All right, Omar, great job. And with that, we will invite CryptoMom and Kendra Cole onto the stage. Jonathan, mind going off?
Great. Can you see the screen?
Yep, we're ready when you are.
Good. Thank you. Meet Cindy, a pediatric nurse in her 40s who's busy with life. She's got the house, she's got the kids, she's managing the money. And on top of that, she's bombarded on her social media timelines with buzzwords like Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, which has really piqued her interest, but she's not quite sure how to get started. And to better connect with her kids, she'd like to give her son crypto for his high school graduation gift. Cindy is one of more than 10.2 million crypto-curious first-time women investors estimated to enter the market by 2024. And while this sounds like a large number, we're already seeing similar disparities in race and gender that permeates traditional finance in the crypto space. And with more than 170 billion in spending power, we have to ask, why aren't these women investing now? Well, there's a few reasons. First, the lack of knowledge of cryptocurrency leads to the lack of confidence. When women receive foundational financial information, their confidence increases and they're more apt to invest. Second, the lack of tangible application of crypto leads to lack of relevancy. She's in control of the family money, so investments must impact her family. And third, women crave connection and a non-judgmental community made just for her. Coupled with the current toxic bro culture in crypto, women feel underserved by the financial sector. So how do we create a place for her to capitalize on cryptocurrency, ultimately supporting and closing the financial investing gap in crypto? Introducing the CryptoMom app, the premier destination for all things crypto for women and by a woman. We are an investment management platform primarily geared towards women and moms where she can do 3 things. First, purchase crypto coins starting with Bitcoin and Ethereum in 3 easy steps. 2, allocate that crypto coin to meaningful products like 529 education plans. And 3, give the gift of crypto for special occasions like baby showers, or in Cindy's case, graduation gifts. Future iterations will include a robo-advisor with gender-based recommendations and an in-app community. Our platform directly caters to her buy and hold investing strategy, creating tangible and attainable opportunities for her to leverage cryptocurrency as a part of her wealth building journey. And because our platform is built by women with shared interests, women like Cindy can trust us to provide a more meaningful products that center her lived experiences, ultimately building a long-lasting symbiotic relationship. We're hyper-focused on bringing at least 69,000 millennial women onto our platform within the first year, and we'll be talking to her in online spaces where women like Cindy already are, such as Facebook mom groups, ads, and news outlets they read. So how do we make money? One, we take a commission per crypto transaction, and two, an annual management fee for every fund created. And with this fee structure, our projections show $750,000 in annualized revenue at the end of year one. None of our competitors are taking a personalized, long-term, committed approach to the success of women in crypto. And a number of traditional financial platforms are now attempting to pivot into crypto while we're at the forefront. And if you're still asking, why can't she just download another exchange app? The same haters told Curve that gym space was too crowded and women should just work out at home. Or to Bumble, why don't you just use Tinder? And the answer is the same. What seems like small considerations for women make profound results. A quick look at our progress shows that we are on time for a summer launch. And can we do this? Yes, we can. Our team is led by myself, a veteran in consumer parenting, PR, and marketing, and my technical co-founder, Lord, a PhD and a CTO of a global cryptocurrency trading firm. Our combined expertise has been able to break down major blockers, such as securing banking partners and connecting to crypto exchanges at competitive rates. A win from TechRise will be instrumental in funding our legal team, which is ensuring that we are a fully regulated entity. And remember, Cindy, well, she's a real nurse to our daughter at Lurie Children's, and she wasn't able to find a way to purchase crypto for her son for graduation. So she's very excited for this app. So women and ladies, we hear you, we see you, and together we will make our future and our children's future more equitable, accessible, and successful. Thank you.
All right, judges, want to come back on? Jonathan, I think it's your turn to kick us off.
Sure. Yeah, great job. I guess, can you talk a little bit more about some of the customer discovery, market research you've done, and how that's perhaps informed what you're doing, other than obviously the marketing channels, influencers, in terms of how you're differentiating for moms and women?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, if I'm allowed, I can share some of our research that we have collected. So basically, so at first, we've done some really in-depth market analysis in terms of who our target demo is. We know that she makes at least 6 figures. We know that additionally, all millennials will actually be parents in the next 10 years. So the name, even the CryptoMom app, becomes much more aspirational. And also, when we take a look at women, millennial women, they are the majority holders of agency of the family money. So we know that any sort of investments really do go through her. On a personal level, we've also just in my circle, Cindy is actually a real nurse. So that interaction of her wanting to buy crypto was real. And actually we can, and when she was hearing conversations with my technical co-founder about his, work in crypto, and they were able to really establish a really great rapport and giving those small tidbits of information. And now she's so excited and she's into it. So that's in terms of other nurses as well, getting them involved. And this is kind of just an overview of like her process in terms of how, she would get into crypto or how she invests.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, Tarun.
Hey, Kendra, thanks for walking us through all of that. Maybe kind of 2-part question. One, maybe talk a little bit about the education piece on the platform that you think will attract women and moms to the platform, and then any specific product differentiation components once they're actually on the platform that you think better cater to that audience than the traditional exchanges that are out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So at MVP, we'll just have the ability to purchase and then allocate the fund and then give the gift. But future iterations, we do intend to have like an in-app academy. So one of the things that when we think about the types of like education outlets or resources that we have, when we think about this woman, some of them are stay-at-home moms, some of them are working women. And so if you're a stay-at-home mom, you may not necessarily have, 2 hours to sit in front of Coursera. but you could have, 10 to 15 minutes to listen to a podcast while the kids are at the park, or, during nap time. So a lot of the education pieces that we want to incorporate into our platform are going to be taking her lived experiences and considerations at heart and really putting that at the center. Until we get the in-app academy, we've actually been building our social media following. And so a ton of the interactions in terms of the education piece has been building on Instagram. And we've got we're really building engagement there as well.
Okay, and I want to take time for Jenny real quick.
Sorry,
so
go ahead.
Thanks so much, Kendra. This was great. Can you talk a little bit about the regulatory, hurdles you'll have, and will you need to become an RIA for the MVP?
We won't need to be an RIA for the MVP because we will not be giving specific advice. We will be giving the tools. But we have engaged counsel, so we're looking to just file for it anyways to start. Because of the relative low cost. And I've worked in regulated spaces as handling CPOs and registered with FINRA. So these are not foreign to us, if that makes sense. But we won't need it for the MVP, but really the follow-on for the robo-advisor to register there to be an internet advisor, basically.
I have to take us to the next segment. So thank you, CryptoMom and the Coles. Great job. And now, judges, it is your turn to go do the hard work of deciding who's going to win today's $25,000 prize. So I will say goodbye to you, and I'm going to welcome our guest speaker today, who is Ruben Flores-Martinez. He's the founder and CEO at CASHDROP. CASHDROP is disrupting the model of small business commerce with a flexible, easy-to-use product with zero merchant fees. CASHDROP's mission is to empower millions of small businesses to think about their customers first without needing to worry about the bottom line. And he's also he's going to be one of the future unicorns for sure, but a passionate advocate for the equitable evolution of Chicago's tech ecosystem, and he's helping pave the way for more immigrant entrepreneurs to disrupt tech. So thank you so much, Ruben, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I thought we could start, and we could share a little bit about your story. An immigrant to Chicago, I think we went through Milwaukee first maybe, but came to Chicago and built a FinTech company kind of against the odds. So can you tell us a little bit about your founding story?
Yes. Sorry for the background noise. I'm in Miami. It's a party everywhere, so it's hard to find a quiet place. But yeah, I moved to Chicago about 5 years ago with a different startup that I founded. Didn't really go anywhere, and when it was time to sunset that in 2019, I was kind of left with this big question, like, what's next, right? So everything that I've learned, everybody that I've met, I was really asking myself, like, where can I make the most impact? And it was right around that time I started noticing this really interesting pattern, and it was anchored by this statistic that I read once that said that only about 8% of the world's commerce is online. And I started noticing things from like people on Instagram taking DMs to collect payments. And it was just like this, it seemed like while we had very structured, commerce infrastructure already available to us, it was like this informal things brewing on social networks that were really driving the innovation of the next generation of business owners. So to me, there was this gap between the establishment and where entrepreneurship was going. And that's kind of where I found my next calling. And I said, if I can make it really simple for somebody with an idea to actually launch a business and grow it from there without needing anything else, like that's the next big thing. And when I created the company, it was almost like the Venmo for business. We just wanted it to be very, very simple, very easy to do. And very early on, I think the biggest insight we realized about it was, I think when it comes to commerce, infrastructure, points of sale systems, stuff like that, it's never really been a customer adoption problem. Like for example, Apple Pay, right? Like every customer has had Apple Pay for 10 years. Nobody wants to wait in line for anything. Nobody wants to go to cashier. But it's a merchant infrastructure problem that we had, is that most mom and pop shop businesses all over the country can't provide these types of services and experiences for customers. So that's really where that was the first big problem that we tackled. And here we are. We started right before the pandemic. We had a lot of really early traction. I tried to fundraise and I got turned down everywhere in Chicago. So I just said, screw it. I'm going to keep bootstrapping. I know how much I need to pay in rent every month. If I get this many transactions, we're making 5% of every dollar. I need this many and it will be okay. And it just ended up being kind of timing, the pandemic hit, and then restaurants, really needed a way of collecting online orders, and just really, it just accelerated adoption, and it's just started kind of growing. So, fast forward to today, we've been very fortunate. We've raised several rounds from really prominent investors in Silicon Valley, and we have, we have anything from like teenagers selling Pokemon cards on the app to restaurants to food halls. Now we're doing events with 90,000 people. We're doing hotels and casinos and resorts. Even gas stations in Florida are using it for powering like contactless fuel transactions. So I think it's really interesting to see how, the digitization of commerce is something that kind of transcends any one particular industry into something to really help us get into a point where that 92% of commerce is able to go digital by just making it really accessible for people to turn their ideas into online businesses, start taking advantage of that, and start making money.
Yeah, there's a couple of things you said that I think are so central to some of the trends that we're seeing right now. I mean, one of them I want to touch on is the fact that how difficult it is to raise early money in Chicago still. A data point for the audience is that last year we had about $290 million in seed and pre-seed funding in Chicago. None of that counts your money, actually, Ruben, because it's not registered on Crunchbase yet. But our city only has about $50 million in check writing right now. So that means that founders like you are going outside of Chicago to raise that remaining $250 million a year. And so I would love to hear in a second your thoughts on how founders can do that, especially if they're under networked potentially, which a lot of us are as first-time founders. But the second thing I wanted to touch on is the fact that you don't charge merchant fees. It goes to the customer, right? And I think in a world of COVID, or even before, the fees that a Grubhub or a DoorDash are taking are kind of invisible to the consumer, and you are making it actually quite visible and really kind of democratic. And so I'm curious if that's part of the values of the company, or it was a necessary for onboarding merchants. Like what was the thought behind that?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely the centerpiece of the entire company. The gut feeling that I had very early on is that, it seems that companies that can really change the economic or the business model of industries are the ones that really future-proof themselves. And that was really the insight, right? Like you see it everywhere, from restaurants to e-commerce to really all aspects of commerce, how, the cost of doing business with tech platforms is very high, and it limits innovation and it hinders people from actually scaling their businesses and growing their businesses. And that's when I realized, like, you don't win this game with features. You don't win this game with apps. It's not about the apps, it's not about the features, it's not about what it can do. It's about the economics. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is money. Right? To an entrepreneur trying to fuel their dreams, putting food on the table for their family, getting the head, like it's all about it's just about money. And if we help put more money on people's pockets, they're going to help us grow. And that's been the fundamental premise that we've kind of built this company. And, I think it's helped us to scale extremely fast. The vast majority of our growth has been viral word of mouth, Instagram, right? Like people use our platform, they love it, they tell others, and by virtue of that being, self-service, and it costs absolutely nothing, other people will do it. I mean, we've had instances where, for example, restaurants will start accepting orders via CASHDROP, but then a customer that was using it on premise said, hey, I have an idea for a dog walking business. I'm just going to download the app, and by the time they leave the restaurant, they already have an online store for booking, dog walking or like crafts or whatever it is. We have a really weird ecosystem of merchants, but I think that's just really what moves us. Like if you remove the friction from the entrepreneur's point of view, they will try it out, they will take it from there. If they make money, we make money, and then we're incentivized on making sure that we give them all of the tools possible, right, to really help them be successful without having to say, well, you have to pay for this, or there's another tier you have to pay for. And it's honestly, in my point of view, at least, it just increases friction and it lowers the upside for both the merchant and ultimately our business. So
yeah,
economics is the biggest thing.
I tested it out, I think and I was so impressed with the fact that I didn't finish the process of setting up my store. And I got a call, I think within like 5 minutes, to help me finish the process. And as I think about, English as a second language, small business owners and students who are, selling t-shirts or doing whatever, that it's such a kind of unheard of level of service. And so how do you think about scaling that over time, knowing that you're going to continue to have more and more and more on the platform?
Yeah, so customer success is the most important. Yeah, I like to say that our customer success are probably more important than me, the technical founder, because it's a game of relationships, right? Like if you make a product that's really easy to be set up, people are still going to have questions that have nothing to do with the product. It's more like them thinking there's somebody that handles their money is there available to them at any point for any questions, right? And that to us is not so much only for like the purpose of making sure that everything's set up. It's for the purpose of creating relationships that lead to viral growth and introductions and advocacy, because that's the stuff that becomes very, very expensive to scale otherwise. If you have to buy growth and buy ads and buy all these things, whereas if you just focus from the get-go, creating a right relationship between you and your customers, I think that the upside that comes from that becomes very, very powerful. So we're always thinking of ways, obviously, of scaling that. But we've done a lot. We've invested a lot, for example, in creating really awesome educational content on our YouTube channel, creating a lot of automation behind the scenes where like it might be a ghost written message from one of our customer success associates, but it's shot as a first person video that makes it feel very personal. And then if you have any more questions or you want to talk to that particular person, you press a button and they're there, talking to you. So, it may not be the most scalable solution, but I don't think it has to, because of what comes after that. Like that virality that we've seen, the word of mouth to us is worth every single amount of effort that we put into making sure that we're just obnoxiously present for every single one of our merchants. It just comes back to you 10 times.
Well, I love that commitment to the customer, and clearly you have product market fit because you've had such success fundraising. And so if we could touch on the second part of my question, which is around like what do you recommend to founders in terms of building relationships outside of their hometown where a venture market might be kind of underdeveloped? In Chicago, I would say we're arguably pretty developed, but we still have this $250 million gap. So what can founders do to better build
I'm very outspoken about this, and I know
it's one of my favorite things about you.
I could rant about this for 3 hours, but yeah, I mean, listen, when I got started, nobody took me serious in my own home city. So I said, look, I don't really fit in with the Silicon Valley culture. I'm a tech nerd, but I don't really fit in with that. So I was very reluctant to say like, I'm here in the Midwest. I want to create a Midwestern company. I want to shine here, right? And I just kind of hit a bunch of brick walls when I wanted to actually, like take this business to the next level in my home city. And I was pretty disillusioned for a while, but I think it was like this moment where I realized to say, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna look elsewhere. Like you just gotta find your tribe no matter where they may be. And more often than not, it's gonna be the people that you never even thought would be there. Like for example, I try to seek out a lot of like Latino investors, and I was telling myself, look, we're in a market where only 1% of the venture dollars go to Latino founders, right? I need that validation from the Latino investors. And if I can't get that, I'm fucked, right? Sorry for the language. And that was what happened. Like I got turned everywhere. And I ended up meeting, some guy on LinkedIn, just me ranting. You know him, Ethan. And he was, I think, in Denver at the time. And he just made an introduction to this fund in New York called Harlem Capital, run by Jared and Henri, who are two young up and coming Black VCs. And, it seemed like I was such a like uphill battle just to get people to give me a $50,000 check in my own home city. I talked to Jared, and within 8 minutes, they gave me the fastest term sheet they've ever issued, right? Like, and then from there, it just kind of spiraled out of control. We went from like nobody took us seriously to now we have an oversubscribed round from people that like, like 4 of our seed investors were on the seed investment at Uber and a SpaceX and a Niantic, all these amazing companies. And all of a sudden everybody's fighting to get a piece of the action. And I think, I would just suggest find your tribe. Is not, you just got to follow the money. You got to connect with people and just find the people that believe what you believe and just not give in. But, like, I think now that I'm on the other side of the table, I kind of have this personal responsibility to make sure that I can connect as many founders, because the game is rigged, right? Like, it's just a fact, particularly when you're a founder of color and you're trying to, find your way into this space. So it's very tough, but I think you just have to be very adamant about it. You just have to keep punching till the brick wall, breaks. And there are people out there that are going to believe what you believe. You just have to find them and have a memorable impression. One of my friends who's a lobbyist once told me, you know how you win in the game of life is not about who you know, it's about who knows you. If people remember you, that's when the doors open. So you just have to tell your story with conviction, be willing to die for it, and people will take notice. Just expand your scope a little bit. You just maybe in a place that you never thought would be available. Just have to see. Twitter is honestly, Twitter and LinkedIn are great resources. You can get a hold of anybody on earth, literally. Everybody's one tweet away. You just have to know what to, have to know what you're communicating. Just have a lot of conviction.
And confidence and optimism. I think those are things that you communicated in spades. I am hoping that our judges are coming back on. I'm not seeing them quite yet, but so I might ask a couple more questions, and I know you have a hard stop soon. But that one of the parts that they're here. Never mind. Well, we'll talk about more later, but Ruben, I can't thank you enough for being on. I can speak for most Chicagoans to say that we're so proud that you have built CASHDROP in Chicago, and we hope that you continue to stay here and continue to commit to our ecosystem, and would love to keep supporting you. So thanks for being here. Have a great weekend if you have to jump. But okay, so it sounds like we have our winners selected. So founders, you want to come take the stage, and then who's going to announce our winner today? Jenny's going to announce. Okay, great. All right. Well, once we have everyone on, I think we're missing Abigail, maybe.
I'm here.
There we go. Okay, great. All right. Well, just as a reminder to the audience, it's not a one and done. If they don't win today, they can always come back and pitch again. But let us know today who is our FinTech winner of the day.
Yeah, well, first of all, you guys all did an incredible job. The pitches were just so clean and crisp, and really a pleasure to listen to. So thank you so much. The winner that we picked, we think this is, a big developing market, and we think that this team has, what it takes to get there. So we're excited that CryptoMom will be our winner today.
Woo! Congratulations, CryptoMom. Do you want to say something?
Go ahead. Oh, we're unmuted already. Okay.
Yeah, we're unmuted. I'm just so excited. Thank you so much. We've really been just like, this has been a labor of love for us. Just for background, like we started this when I was 7 months pregnant, and like just have been working nights and weekends, like literally in labor, sending emails and like having calls. So this really, this really is going to be so helpful for us, and just thank you for believing in women. Honestly, like that's really just the key to this. It's just thank you for believing in women and giving us an opportunity to have a place that's just for us.
Well, and I think that kind of the verticalization of FinTech was a theme that we saw across the founders today. So excited to see everything that you all are building. Thank you so much to our judges. Thank you as always to Verizon for being here, Stephen, and also an extra special thank you to PNC who made today's prize possible. So have a wonderful weekend. We will see you all back next week. Bye.